When the collapse hits, your biggest threat won't always be strangers. It might be the people living right next door. The same neighbors who wave at you today could be the ones eyeing your supplies tomorrow. And in desperate times, the smallest, most ordinary items in your home could become the very things they'll do anything to get their hands on. In this video, we're exposing 6 everyday items you'll have to protect, because once word gets out, you have them, you could become their #1 target. Stick around, and if you're serious about staying one step ahead when it all falls apart, make sure you hit that subscribe button before we dive in. Number 1, clean drive inking water. When the taps stop running, society stops running. You can go without food for weeks, but water, 3 days without it, and the body begins to shut down. That's why, in a full-blown collapse, clean drinking water instantly becomes the single most valuable resource you own, and the first thing your neighbors will start looking for. Here's the hard truth most people don't think about. The moment electricity fails, municipal water systems start losing pressure. Within hours, faucets begin to spit air, and the reservoirs that fed your city will be dry. That's when desperation sets in. Families will start scavenging. People will turn to creeks, puddles, even drainage ditches, anything wet just to stay alive. And if they know you have water jugs in your home, you're not just storing hydration, you're storing a target on your back. It's easy to underestimate just how quickly word spreads in a crisis. The neighbor you casually mentioned your emergency water stash to 6 months ago will remember every detail. The delivery driver who saw a stack of gallon jugs in your garage, they'll remember too. When panic hits, those memories turn into roadmaps leading straight to your door. And here's the kicker, water isn't just for drinking. In a collapse, you'll need it for cooking, cleaning wounds, mixing medicine, and even basic hygiene. That means your supply runs out far quicker than you think. The average person needs at least 1 gallon per day, and that's a bare minimum survival figure. A family of 4? You're looking at 28 gallons for just a single week. Now imagine trying to keep that supply hidden when desperate eyes are watching. So, how do you protect it? First, never store all your water in one place. Spread it out across your home, shed, and even buried containers in your yard. That way, if someone does find part of your supply, they won't get it all. Second, keep your containers bland. Forget the shiny survival water barrels that scream preparedness. Instead, use old juice bottles, soda bottles, or opaque storage bins. They blend in, and in a crisis, blending in is everything. If you can, have a backup plan for replenishment. A rainwater catchment system hidden from street view can quietly extend your supply without alerting anyone. And learn water purification, because even if you find more, without the ability to make it safe, you're gambling with your life. In the end, protecting water isn't just about survival, it's about strategy. You're not just guarding a resource, you're guarding time. Time to think, time to plan your next move, time your neighbors won't have if they're spending their last hours searching for a drink. When the collapse comes, and it will come faster than you expect, clean drinking water becomes more than liquid, it becomes life itself, and life is something you'll need to protect at all costs. Number 2, cooking fuel and heat sources. When the collapse hits, people will scramble for food. But there's one problem, no one thinks about how are they going to cook it. Without gas lines, electricity, or a working stove, even the best-stocked pantry becomes a pile of cold, inedible calories. That's why cooking fuel propane tanks, butane canisters, charcoal, even bundles of dry wood will be worth more than gold. And if your neighbors realize you have them, you'll need to protect them like your life depends on it, because it just might. Here's the reality. Modern society has forgotten how to prepare food without convenience. Most people don't know how to build a fire, and even fewer have the tools to do it safely. When the grocery store shelves are stripped bare and the frozen meals in their freezers start to thaw, the panic will set in. Suddenly, those little green propane canisters in your garage or that neatly stacked woodpile in your yard won't just be extras, they'll be survival. And here's where it gets dangerous. Fuel is loud. The smell of cooking travels. The sight of a rising plume of smoke can be seen for miles, and in desperate times, smoke means food. That's when people start showing up first, asking nicely, then demanding, and finally, taking. Fuel also has one more dangerous trait, it's portable. Unlike a garden, which is rooted to the ground, your stored fuel can be carried off in minutes. A couple of propane canisters can fit in a backpack. A bag of charcoal can be slung over a shoulder. Once it's gone, you're not getting it back. To protect it, you need 2 things, concealment and diversification. Don't store all your fuel in one easy-to-find location. Keep a few tanks or bags of charcoal where you can get to them quickly, but hide the rest in sheds, under tarps, or even inside large storage totes labeled with something boring like old clothes or holiday decorations. If you have wood, don't stack it all neatly in the open like a billboard. Break it up, some behind the shed, some in the garage, some covered under a tarp in a corner of your yard. And here's an overlooked tip: learn alternative cooking methods now. Solar ovens, rocket stoves, alcohol burners, anything that can cook quietly and without drawing attention is worth its weight in gold. In fact, in a collapse, your method of cooking can be just as important as your fuel. A roaring fire is an advertisement. A low-smoke, efficient stove is a shield. Think of your cooking fuel like your lifeline. It's not just about eating hot meals. It's about boiling water to make it safe, warming your home in freezing weather, and keeping morale up in a world that will feel colder, hungrier, and more hopeless by the day. Without it, you're in survival mode with a ticking clock. With it, you buy yourself time, energy, and a fighting chance. When everything collapses, fuel isn't just something you burn, it's something you protect. And if you don't hide it well, your neighbors might end up cooking your last meal instead of their own. Number 3, batteries. When the grid goes down, batteries become the beating heart of survival. In a world without electricity, they're the bridge between pitch-black darkness and the glow of light, between silence and the sound of a radio crackling with life-saving news. And here's the truth. People aren't going to be hunting for gold or jewelry, they'll be hunting for power. AAA, 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 CD, 9 volts, and especially rechargeable packs, they all become instant currency. The flashlight you take for granted today will be a lifeline tomorrow, and without batteries, it's just a useless tube of metal or plastic. But it's not just flashlights. Think about all the survival gear that depends on battery power: emergency radios, headlamps, walkie-talkies, medical equipment like portable oxygen machines, and even certain water purifiers. Now here's the dangerous part. Most people will burn through their battery supply in the first week of a crisis. When the lights go out, human instinct kicks in. They grab the flashlight, leave it running, and forget to turn it off. Within days, their supply is dead. That's when they start thinking about yours. Theft risk goes up because batteries are small, portable, and easy to stash in a pocket. A neighbor who wouldn't dream of stealing from you today might slip a pack of AA batteries from your home after the collapse because in their mind, they're not taking batteries. They're taking a way to keep their family alive for another night. Here's where smart prepping makes all the difference. Don't keep all your batteries in one big box or drawer, split them into multiple stashes around your home. Use decoy containers with a few old dead batteries on top and the real ones hidden underneath. Consider sealing long-term supplies in Mylar bags with silica gel packs to keep them dry and extend their shelf life. Even better, invest in solar battery chargers now. In a prolonged collapse, your stash will eventually run dry, no matter how big it is. A solar charger means you can keep certain batteries alive indefinitely, especially AAA and AAA rechargeables. That ability instantly makes you more self-reliant and more valuable as a trading partner. Here's another often overlooked tip: hoard the uncommon sizes. Everyone thinks to stock AA and AAA, but D sells for large flashlights, C sells for older equipment, and 9 volts for smoke detectors or certain radios can become even more sought after because fewer people have them. A single 9-volt battery might be the difference between a neighbor's working radio and total silence. And don't underestimate the emotional value. In a dark, silent world, light isn't just functional, it's psychological armor. A child who can fall asleep with a small battery-powered nightlight will cry less, panic less, and let their parents rest. A family that can listen to music or news on a battery-powered device will feel less isolated. That kind of morale boost can be as critical to survival as food or water. In a post-collapse economy, batteries will trade like gold. A pack of AAs could get you a hot meal, a blanket, or even information you can't find anywhere else. They're light enough to carry in bulk, valuable enough to guard with your life, and rare enough that when your neighbors realize you have them, they won't ask twice. In the collapse, your batteries won't just power devices, they'll power hope. And if you don't hide them well, someone else will light their world while leaving yours in darkness. Number 4, cooking oil. When we talk about survival after a collapse, most people think of canned food, water filters, or blankets. But there's one household staple that will quietly climb to the top of the barter chain, and that's cooking oil. Whether it's vegetable oil, olive oil, coconut oil, or even that half-used bottle in your pantry right now, this stuff will become liquid gold. Why? Because cooking oil isn't just for frying eggs, it's essential for making almost any raw food edible. Grains, beans, rice, and vegetables all taste better, digest easier, and give more usable calories when prepared with some fat. Without it, food becomes bland, dry, and hard to eat, especially for children and the elderly. A collapse won't just drain your energy physically, it will wear you down mentally. Food cooked with oil provides comfort, taste, and satiety that plain boiled rations can't match. But its value doesn't stop at cooking. Oil has a dozen survival uses that people won't think about until they're desperate. It can be used to season cast iron cookware to prevent rust, keep wooden utensils from cracking, and lubricate tools or firearms. In cold climates, it can even be rubbed on exposed skin to reduce frostbite risk or protect against windburn. And here's where it gets dangerous: oil is consumable. It runs out quickly, and it's difficult to produce at home without specialized equipment. You can't just make olive oil in your kitchen without a press and raw olives. Most households will burn through their supply in a matter of weeks. Once it's gone, people will start looking for it anywhere they can. That means if you have it, you're holding one of the most sought-after post-collapse items. In desperate times, a pint of oil could be worth more than a gallon of gasoline because you can survive without driving, but you can't survive long without eating. Here's how to protect and extend your supply. Diversify your stockpile. Don't rely on just one kind. Coconut oil has a long shelf life and solidifies in cooler weather, making it easier to store. Olive oil adds flavor and health benefits but should be kept in dark bottles away from heat. Vegetable and canola oil are cheap and versatile but have shorter lifespans. Store smart. Keep oil in airtight containers, preferably glass or food-grade plastic, in a cool, dark place. Exposure to light and heat can make it go rancid faster. Hide in plain sight. Instead of keeping your oil in the kitchen, stash extra bottles in unlikely places, inside empty detergent boxes, behind cleaning supplies, or in labeled bins that look like they hold something unimportant. Rotate and replenish. Even the best storage methods can't beat time. Use and replace oil regularly now so your collapse stash is always fresh. Beyond food, cooking oil can also serve as emergency fuel for lamps or improvised candles. Pour it into a jar, add a floating wick or twisted cotton, and you have a light source that can last for hours. That's the kind of resourcefulness people will pay for or try to steal when the power's been out for weeks. But here's the hard truth: if your neighbors get wind that you have a steady supply of oil while they're trying to choke down plain boiled beans, you're going to have a problem. Food envy is real, and in survival mode, it can turn a friendly face into a threat. The solution? Keep your cooking methods discreet. Avoid letting the smell of frying food drift outside, especially in the early weeks of a collapse when hunger is at its peak. If possible, cook indoors, use odor-minimizing lids, and stagger mealtimes so you're not drawing attention. In the new barter economy, cooking oil will buy you favors, goods, and maybe even protection, but only if you control who knows you have it. In a world where calories mean survival, your bottle of oil isn't just food, it's leverage. And if you don't guard it carefully, someone else will enjoy that leverage at your expense. Number 5. Prescription medications. In a post-collapse world, there will be items that make people desperate instantly, and nothing will cause panic quite like running out of life-saving prescription medications. While canned food and bottled water are survival basics, medicines like insulin, blood pressure pills, asthma inhalers, antibiotics, and even over-the-counter pain relief will become a form of currency so valuable that people will trade anything they own to get them. The reality is simple. Modern society is dependent on pharmaceuticals, and without pharmacies, supply chains, or refills, millions will be at risk within days. Think about how many people around you rely on daily medication just to function. Remove that safety net, and the urgency becomes lethal. It won't just be those with serious conditions who are affected. In a survival situation, infections will spread faster, untreated injuries will worsen, and stress will push blood pressure and heart problems into dangerous territory. Even basic medications like ibuprofen, acetaminophen, or allergy tablets will feel like gold because they make life bearable when everything else is falling apart. But here's the dark truth. If people know you have a stash, you instantly become a target. The desperation of a parent watching their child suffer from asthma or diabetes will override any moral boundaries they once had. That's why protecting these supplies will take as much planning as storing them. Long before disaster hits, the best move is to quietly build a surplus by ordering refills as early as your insurance or pharmacy allows, switching to mail-order 90-day supplies when possible, or working with your doctor to have backups for emergencies. The less you draw attention to the fact that you're preparing, the safer you'll be when those preparations matter most. Storage is equally important. Many medications are sensitive to heat, moisture, and light, meaning they need to be kept in a cool, dry, and dark environment. Insulin in particular requires refrigeration, so having an alternative cooling solution like a solar-powered fridge, insulated cooler with ice packs, or even evaporative clay pot coolers can keep it viable for longer. In the barter economy of collapse, medicine will be an unstoppable trade advantage. A single course of antibiotics could be exchanged for weeks' worth of food, protection, or labor, and even non-life-saving items like allergy pills or sleep aids will have value for people struggling to cope with stress, dust, and disrupted sleep cycles. But here's where the danger grows. Once word gets out that you can heal the sick or ease pain, strangers will arrive at your door. Some will come to trade, others to beg, and a few will try to take what they need by force. This is why discretion will be your strongest defense. Keep all medication in unmarked containers where possible, and store the bulk of your supply somewhere unexpected inside a sealed bag, buried under bulk rice, hidden in a hollowed-out book, or locked in a container labeled with something boring like tax documents or sewing supplies. When you do decide to trade, never show your entire supply at once, and never reveal the exact source of your stash. Presenting small amounts at different times makes it seem like you have less, reducing the risk of someone deciding to take it all. In times of collapse, even your closest neighbors may not act like the people you know today. Survival changes people. The friendly man down the street might become a desperate father willing to break into your home if it means saving his child's life, and while that's hard to think about now, ignoring it will get you killed later. So protect your medicine like you would protect your clean water and your food supply quietly, securely, and without advertising it to anyone who doesn't absolutely need to know. Because in the chaos after the collapse, when resources are vanishing and hospitals have gone silent, prescription medications won't just keep people alive, they'll decide who holds the real power. And in that world, the person who controls the cure controls everything. Number 6, batteries. When the power grid goes down for good, it won't take long before the modern conveniences we take for granted fade into darkness. But while people rush for flashlights and radios, most won't think far enough ahead to realize that batteries will become the heartbeat of survival. They're small, lightweight, easy to store, and they power everything from emergency lights to two-way radios, medical devices, and security systems. Once stores are empty, every last AA, AAA, D-cell, and 9-volt will be worth more than their weight in silver, because without them, most of your gear turns into dead weight. Think about it, flashlights are useless without batteries. Walkie-talkies are just plastic bricks, and even life-saving medical equipment like CPAP machines or portable oxygen concentrators become nothing but expensive paperweights. In the early days of collapse, you might find a few left behind in junk drawers or remote corners of abandoned houses, but the easy pickings will vanish within weeks. That's when the real competition begins. In a barter economy, a single set of batteries could buy you food, firewood, or a safe place to sleep for the night. People will trade almost anything for the ability to see in the dark or communicate beyond shouting distance. But here's the catch. Batteries don't last forever, even when stored. Their shelf life can be years if kept cool and dry, but eventually, they will degrade. That means the real survivors will be the ones who thought beyond hoarding and invested in rechargeable systems while the world was still functioning. A good solar charger and a stash of rechargeable batteries could make you one of the most valuable people in your community after the collapse. Not only can you power your own gear, but you can trade freshly charged batteries over and over again, essentially creating an endless barter item. But in the same breath, this makes you a target. If word spreads that you have working power while everyone else stumbles in the dark, you're inviting both desperate neighbors and opportunistic scavengers to your door. Discretion, once again, will be your armor. Keep your charging setup hidden, run it in a location that's not visible from a distance, and avoid letting the glow of your devices spill into the night. Store extra batteries in moisture-proof containers, away from extreme heat, and rotate your supply so you're always using the oldest first. When society collapses, it won't be the strongest who survive, it will be the smartest. The people who saw value where others saw trash, the ones who prepared before desperation forced them into dangerous trades and risky scavenging. Right now, every one of these items is sitting in plain sight, collecting dust, and waiting for the day they'll decide who eats, who sleeps safely, and who's left with nothing. If you start collecting them today, you won't just be surviving after the collapse. You'll be thriving while others are still trying to figure out where it all went wrong. And if you want more no-nonsense survival tips that keep you one step ahead of the chaos, hit that subscribe button right now because the information you get here could be the reason you make it through tomorrow.